Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy Monday to you and yours. It's April 7th, 2025. Where has this year gone? 3 months in the books, and we are rocking here with you today. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe. Share the Recher podcast wherever you're watching it from, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Twitter. Please share this. Every single share and subscribe, every single like, it all matters. It all counts. So I appreciate everybody for all the love and the support over these last couple of months. We're going to continue to keep this ball rolling. And now we have more than just the video side. We have the audio side too. So make sure you let everybody know that you can get me on iTunes, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, which how ironic is that, and Apple Music. So I am everywhere. So make sure you head on over there to go to those different spots and find me there as well. The Recher podcast. Again, we are everywhere. Here on YouTube, the video side. We're on video and audio on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, on there audio-wise. So if you want to take this show wherever you may go, we will be here for you. What a program we have for you today. Plenty of topics to get into today on the program. Our pal Chris Russell from the Team 980 joins us at 12:15. Chris, up there in DC, he was there at UBS Arena yesterday as Alexander Ovechkin broke the goals record, surpassing Wayne Gretzky, number 895 on the power play against the New York Islanders, against Ilya Sorokin. What an incredible accomplishment and celebration. Was it a little long-winded? Some people will say yes, but with moments like this, I don't really care. Whatever. It's not like it's the last game of the season. It's not like the Islanders are really have anything to play for. I'm all for the pomp and circumstance and everything when the win happened. So what was it like to be there, Chris? WrestleMania 621 from the Team 980 in DC will join us then. 12:30. Ian Beckles joins us for his weekly visit, and I put on the description of his segment today, we're going to talk about everything except the NFL. Maybe. We're going to try to talk about some other things if we get some NFL talk, because there's not a ton of big news right now when it comes to the National Football League, other than a couple of retirements, but we'll see if we can talk about some other stuff with Beck. It always finds its way back to football. That's just the way it goes. Shout out to Benny and Janet Best and Jeff Taylor. Happy Monday to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want your text read and seen on the screen, I implore you to join in on our super chats. Every single contribution helps, whether it's $1, $2, $5, $10. Every little bit helps. You want to help me keep this thing going? That is one of the ways to do it. What else do we have coming up on the program today at 12:50? UConn back to the top of the basketball universe with a big win over Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks right here at Amalie Arena in Tampa Bay. Can't wait to get into that at 1:05. Florida and Houston in the national title game, but we got to go over those Final Four matchups from Saturday night, the Gators and the Auburn Tigers, and then Houston and Duke. And we also have to tip our hat to one of our favorite guests who saw this coming when it came to the Houston Cougars. We'll get into that at 1:05. 1:20 at MLB Breakdown. Vladimir Guerrero, Blake Snell, Victor Robles, and what is wrong with the Pittsburgh Pirates? Some teams just don't get it. And we'll finish off at 1:30 today. USF baseball stays hot. The Tampa Bay Sun with a big victory, including a huge goal from a friend of the program as well, Jordan Listro. And the University of Tampa Spartans break out the best City Connect uniforms you are going to see. We have and I'm trying to get them to send me a box. Our first unboxing video, we're working on it right now because we want to do it special here in the Tampa Bay area. Our first unboxing video from last week from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They're in action Saturday night. Al Lang. I'll be there, and hopefully you will be too. We've got another couple of boxes that are coming in the next week or two, I know for sure. So if you are a coach of a high school team, if you're a coach of a local college team, if you're a coach of a travel ball team, I don't care what sport it is, get in the DMs, get my address, send it to me, because we're going to have more unboxing videos. We've seen John Gruden do it. We've seen a lot of people around the country. The unboxing videos in the Tampa Bay area, that is going to become a thing right here on the Recher podcast. So the Rowdies started it off, and hopefully you and your team will be next. Shout out to David Terry and everybody tuned in today. But we're going to start on the program today talking about the Tampa Bay Rays. This was the kind of weekend that I told you guys to be prepared for. The Rays get swept by the Rangers in Texas. That was no good, to say the least. 5-2 on Friday, 6-4 on Saturday, and then they get walked off 4-3 on Sunday. They're now 4-5 on the season, sitting at fourth place in the AL East. And again, I felt like this could have been a tough series for Tampa Bay, and that's exactly what it was. After two very winnable series against Colorado and Pittsburgh, they went to a place where the margins were very fine, and they were going to be finer. So when you watch this team, I think that's the thing that worries you when it comes to the Rays. Against lesser competition, just the Rays being the Rays is going to be good enough. They're going to pitch. They're going to play good defense. They're going to keep themselves in the game. They're not going to make stupid mistakes. It's just they're going to do enough to beat teams that they clearly have more talent than or equal talent with, because they do the little things well. But can they hit enough to beat other top teams in the league that also do the little things well? You see a team like the Texas Rangers and Bruce Bochy, right? What kind of team that they're going to have. They have champions on the roster. They're a couple of years removed from being World Series champs themselves. So when you're going against Simeon, you go against Corey Seager and some of these guys, there's nothing that they're going to see that is going to surprise them. These are veterans in the league. This is why they spend as much money as they did to bring them in. And if the Rays just play kind of like that medium game there, I don't know if that's enough. We have to find out over this first part of the season. Do they have that it factor? It's only 9 games into the season, so we're not going to make a mountain out of a molehill here. But it's something they need to identify, and fast, because of all of these games that they have at home, right? You have all of these home games. You have to take advantage of them. So, I look at that and it's simple. Offensively, they got to pick it up. Ben Rortvedt and Danny Jansen are combined 1 for 29. After an incredible spring, Curtis Mead is 1 for his first 13. Taylor Walls is batting 136. Yandy Diaz is batting 158. Junior Caminero has 0 home runs and only 2 runs batted in. They only have 5 home runs total in their first 9 games, 3 of them off of the bat of Brandon Lau. The other 2 are Jonathan Aranda and Cam Meisner on opening day. And think about it, 10 hits apiece for Johnny DeLuca and Jake Mangum, 9 for Meisner and 8 for Aranda. 9 for Meisner, 8 for Aranda. Where the hell would the Rays be without those guys? It's time for those other dudes to step up. It's time for Junior to step up. It's time for Yandy to step up. Danny Jansen, I know it's tough first year with a new club, a bunch of new pitchers, but we saw some offensive prowess there in spring training. We have yet to see it here in the regular season. But I go back to Yandy and I go back to Junior. This is the second straight March/April that Yandy has struggled out of the gates. If the Tampa Bay Rays are going to take advantage of their home-heavy schedule here early in the 2025 season, their best players need to be their best players. We know what the pitchers are going to do. We know what the guys in the bullpen are going to do. That's the bread and butter for this team. I mentioned a guy like Taylor Walls. He's going to play incredible defense. We get that. But you can't have a guy that plays incredible defense and then doesn't even hit his weight. You can't have that. This is not 1992. This is 2025. You need guys that are going to be able to affect the game in all three facets. It's got to be better than this. And listen, I'm not freaking out because it is still early in the season, but you start looking at this schedule for the Tampa Bay Rays and you start circling these games and you need the offense to pick it up. You're facing an Angels team that is 6-3, and you got the day off today. You're back in action tomorrow at 7:05 at Steinbrenner Field. 6-3 are the Angels with the veteran Kyle Hendricks on the mound. So you know what you're going to see on Tuesday. You're going to see slow, slower, and slowest. Changeup after changeup after changeup. That's what you're going to see. So the Rays hitters better stay back. They better go the other way. They better stay disciplined. That's what they have to do. These offensive players really need to get it into gear. Shane Baz on the bump for Kyle Hendricks. More about this game tomorrow. Then you have Yusei Kikuchi against Ryan Pepio on Wednesday. Soriano against Zach Littell on Thursday. And then Friday, they welcome in the Braves, who are 1-8 themselves. But do you really want to bank on them having struggles this weekend? I wouldn't. There's way too much talent on that team. Dave Velasquez. Last week, we spoke about great teams finding ways to win. It happened again with the Rays and Lightning. Got to switch stuff up ASAP. You're right, Dave. You are not wrong at all, my friend. A little bit different with the Tampa Bay Lightning because they've already secured a playoff spot. It's a little bit different for where they're at when it comes to the season and learning about their team. When it comes to the Rays, we see what's going on in the AL East. We know what type of offense that these teams have. We know what kind of veteran leaders. There's champions in this division. The Rays, if they want to keep pace, it's not just about, hey, we want to win the division. This is a tough division. We knew that going in. We knew the kind of gauntlet it was going to be. And right now, all the teams are kind of around 500. Yankees leading the way at 6-3. Baltimore's in last at 4-6. I really don't like what I've seen from the Orioles, if that's any saving grace. Better from the Red Sox, even though the Blue Jays are on a 3-game losing streak. You look at it like, okay, they got some skills there, and it looks like they're going to sign Vlad Guerrero to a long-term deal, which I think makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy that he's staying there. But Boston's on a 5-game winning streak, right? We know the Yankees and their torpedo bats, what they bring to the table. So if I'm the Tampa Bay Rays, I look at this series with the LA Angels as a get-right series for my offense. Go out there early in this game, and it falls on Yandy and Jr. It falls on those two big guys. You're going to get paid the big bucks. You're going to be the guys that are going to be in the middle of the lineup. Like, there can't be any excuses. Josh Lowe obviously is banged up. We know what Brandon Lau has done, and kudos to him for really stepping up to the table. And shout out to the young guys, Meisner and Mangum and Aranda. Like, they're doing their thing. DeLuca getting these opportunities that they've never gotten before. They're making the most of them. But we know what a long season is like in the major leagues. We know that eventually, once some of this tape gets out on Meisner, on Mangum, and on Aranda, on DeLuca, that teams are going to adjust. Don't think that the Angels aren't looking at some of the guys that have been swinging it well and that they're not going to focus on them in this upcoming series. And I look even more at the Atlanta Braves, who have a much better, on paper, pitching staff than the Angels. You can't expect these young guys to really be carrying the water for this offense. They're doing what they can, but they're naturally going to regress. They're naturally going to come back to earth. Dave Terry wants to know what's my thoughts on Yandy leading off. Who else are you going to put there, Dave? I mean, he's a guy that gets on base a whole ton, right? He's a guy that finds a way. His on-base percentage every single year is up there, but not this year. I mean, that's the thing about Yandy Diaz. For all the talk about Yandy and off the field and his relationship with Randy and you know, what happened last year and the weight and how strong he is and what he looks like in the gym, like Yandy, and we had this conversation with Brady North last week, what he does in the batting cage. Yeah, I mean, fantastic. You know what's not fantastic? His on-base percentage or his batting average. He's batting 158. He has 6 hits in his first 38 at-bats in 9 games. That's troublesome. That's worrisome. You know what's even more worrisome? He's got 1 walk. 1 walk. This is a guy batting at the top of your lineup. He's not getting hits. He's not getting on base. Yandy's got to pick it up. We're not picking on the guy. We know it's still early, but if the Rays offense is going to do anything, it starts with the catalyst. It starts with the guys at the top of the order. And I'm looking square at Yandy Diaz. It is time. It is time for you to lead this offense. Enough is enough. I don't care. Go out tomorrow against Kyle Hendricks and walk 4 times. Get on base. Because you know what? This offense is doomed if a guy like Yandy Diaz continues to hit like that. And you want to wonder what the attendance is going to look like in the summer when it gets hot as hell out. It's going to get even worse if this offense isn't putting up runs. These teams that they're playing right now, they got to take advantage. And it starts tomorrow night against the Angels. All right, what was it like to see history made? We're going to find out right now. It's our good pal Chris Russell from up there, Team 980. WrestleMania, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, Jay, how are you, pal? Good to be on with you as always. Thanks for
always a pleasure. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for making time, man. I know you're so busy. I was a Hail Mary that I get you on the program today, so I appreciate you coming down with the grab. You're the best.
Anything for you, man. I know you're a big hockey guy, and
I love it.
You know, it was man, it was an unbelievable weekend. I ain't gonna lie. For me, it doesn't eclipse what I was lucky enough to witness in 2018 with them winning the Stanley Cup in Vegas and all that stuff. But Friday night at Capital One Arena, which that place rocks, was really cool to see 893 and then 894 and how close he was at several points to getting another goal, if not 2 or 3 more on Friday night. And I thought Friday night he had a good chance going in despite needing a hat trick. A, Chicago's terrible. B, he's got a flair for the dramatic. And then to, be one short because he did not want to go on the ice for an empty netter, to be one short going in yesterday afternoon, quick turnaround, another stretch of 3 games and 4 nights for them, what have you. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it because Sorokin and the Islanders don't take a lot of penalties. That's Alex's specialty, obviously, on the power play. I guess most great goal scorers are going to clean up on the power play, but they're also pretty good defensively, Sorokin and the Islanders. So I wasn't sure if he was going to get it, but there was one moment where he almost stuffed in 895 to the side of the net, maybe 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes before the actual goal. And I was like, oh, he's alive. Because it was a sleepy first period. And I said, oh, he's alive. It's going to happen today. And then bam.
That was, when you have a hockey game in the middle of the afternoon encapsulating the focus of sports fans all across the world. I think that's one of the coolest things is, it's so easy to be able to see, NFL reaction on Twitter and on Instagram and all that stuff because it's king in this country, right? But when you see athletes, when you see teams, when you see former players and just even people just not even in sports recognizing what Alexander Ovechkin did, it's one of my favorite things to see when hockey is put under the microscope and under the spotlight like that. So what was that like, man? Take me through when obviously it's on the power play. It was so picture perfect when he scores that goal. You want it to be in Ovechkin-esque fashion to be able to kind of watch that unfold after covering him for so long. What was that like?
Yeah, so the one thing that I'll say, man, I wish it would have worked out exactly this way. It was a wicked wrister, right? A wicked drag wrister, but it wasn't a one-timer, which so many of his goals from what they call the OV office have been. But it was a wicked wrister. It was a clean goal, obviously, short side. And Spencer Carberry, the coach, after the game told us, he's like, he had this like really honed in vision and right before the goal. And he thought it was going to happen on that particular power play. And he said he could see from his vantage point on the bench, just this small little sliver of space to the short side of Sorokin. And he said, I wonder, or he was basically thinking to himself, I guess, it's going to happen here. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on that side. And sure enough, it happened. But again, the one kind of thing that I wish I could draw if I was making it perfectly, besides being at home, would be, again, that it was on a one-timer because that's his specialty. But I will say this, the Islanders crowd, which is always a very passionate hockey crowd, was very, 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 very good. There were, I would say, 5,000-ish, maybe a little bit more in terms of Capitals fans there that made the trip. The place was flooded with red. Which is not surprising. When you win as much as they do, obviously the Lightning get a lot of fans, I'm sure, on the road wherever they go, especially when they were winning championships and so on and so forth. That happens. But the place was electric. New York is a great hockey area, even though it loves other sports as well and more. The bottom line is to see it happen the way it did. One other thing, Jay, and you, big hockey guy, Nick Backstrom, who has been his Robin to his Batman his entire career, he just can't play anymore, but he's still around the team and he was in the building yesterday. I wish that pass somehow, some way, majestically would have come from him. It's the guy he handed the cup to back in 2018. It was, again, his Robin to his Batman. I wish that would have happened, but man, it was from a hockey sense, it was so awesome. And the swan dive and the dog pile and the ceremony, I didn't know what they were exactly planning. I knew they were going to stop the game, but I mean, they rolled out all the bells and whistles and did everything. And obviously they had planned well in advance for this moment. And they hit it, I think, to a T.
Yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job. And I know some people were complaining about the length. I'm like, listen, it's at the end of the regular season. The Islanders aren't making the playoffs. Like, let's just have a nice moment here in the middle of the day on a Sunday for everybody to enjoy, celebrate one of the, he's a living legend, man. He's the greatest goal scorer, and he passed the greatest player of all time, on a record that nobody thought was going to be broken. And you're right. It was good to see Backstrom, good to see TJ Oshie, good to see, even John Cooper was in the building yesterday because the Lightning play the Rangers tonight.
There,
which was pretty cool with that. What was it like to see, and this is what I love about hockey, and not taking anything away from other sports, and you get this being in radio. I feel like with other sports, sometimes there's such a legacy battle. There's such an era battle. My era is better than yours. We see it probably in hoops more than anything. Well, in my era, I would have done this, or your era, you wouldn't have done anything. But there's just something different about hockey where there is a lot of tradition. There's a lot of passing down. There's a lot of passing the torches. They really do understand that like records are made to be broken. And to see Wayne Gretzky on the ice last night wearing a number 9 pin to honor Gordie Howe, the guy that he passed, and to have his wife there give a nice gift to Ovi's wife after that's what Gordie Howe's wife did for his wife, Janet. Like, I just thought that was like a moment of, this is why hockey is so awesome. What did you make of that ceremony?
Yeah, I mean, so cool to hear you say that, because I know you're just a really, really, really good hockey fan and great reporter and host and all that. So, as you were describing that, I mean, I knew you would be right on that. The thing for me that has been so cool, is like, I didn't, all right, this is going to sound weird. I didn't know Wayne had that personality. And Friday night, we got to meet with him after the first period. So after 8:93, before 8:94, we got to meet with him and cracking jokes and one-liners like he was a stand-up comedian and doing it dry panned without cursing or anything like that. Just really funny. And you saw him on the mic yesterday, right? And he only butchered Ted Leonsis, the owner's name, a couple of times, once on the ice and once in the locker room. But okay, whatever. I mean, no big deal there, right? But Wayne was funny and he was filled with humility and he was filled with grace and, all of that stuff. So that was awesome to see. I love, as a dad, I love seeing all the love that Ovi shows publicly for his 2 sons, who are growing up in the midst of this unbelievable athlete and this Russian machine that almost never breaks, right? And that is a website around here, Russian Machine Never Breaks. He broke for about 5.5 weeks earlier this year and came right back and started kicking everybody's ass, So, I mean, there's so many things. Yesterday in the locker room, I'm talking to Tom Wilson, and it's right to the side of Ovi's locker. And Ovi comes over in the sweat-drenched undershirt, and he cracks open a beer, and he starts busting Tom Wilson's chops. And Tom Wilson starts giving it a little bit back to him, and just like almost like and Tom was talking about how close they are, and I know they're close, and how good of a leader he is and how good of a teammate he is. I mean, this dude took out not to get too in the weeds, Ryan Leonard was a top 10 pick 2 years ago, right? Top prospect in the Capitals organization. He makes his NHL debut after BC gets eliminated in college hockey on Tuesday in Boston. He and Jacob Chikrin, who was another big addition that they made in a trade with Ottawa this offseason, who Ovi's really close with, he and Chikrin take Ryan Leonard out to dinner and drinks on Monday night in Boston, right? And they're just in the middle of the bar, sitting at the bar, just slinging a couple of drinks. And Ovi, I mean, like Friday night after he tied the record, he immediately cracks open a Bud Light. They had a thing, kind of waiting there for him. Yesterday, again, as soon as he gets in the locker room now, after the champagne shower, he cracks a beer, right? And this used to be like a thing that was worrisome to me earlier in his career, right? He was known as a partier and, a guy who was enjoying life. He was a rock star, and for good reason. Now it's like, I mean, I know he comes in shape. I know he works his ass off. And some people want to ding him for not going, 185 feet at full speed all the time. Man, come on. Like, stop, get your head out of Don Cherry's butt and relax. The guy's unbelievable, and he's a great leader and a great captain and a great teammate and a really, really good person. I will say that. Like, I think he was misunderstood early in his career. He was a missile out there, and he didn't know how to do things, right? He's developed over 20 years into a really, really good person. A rock star and a really good person. Sorry, that's long, but
that's great. That's an insight that we need to hear. And all right, before I let you go, because I know we're up against it, what are now that this is behind you, now that this is behind you, what's the focus for this Capitals team? Because obviously they're blowing the doors off the East here. Yeah, we're in the Atlantic, diddling around trying to get the 1 seed, but we're like, hey, is there any chance for the number 1 overall seed in the East? Like, no, check the Metropolitan standings. You ain't catching the Capitals. Obviously, we saw the physical contest against Carolina. What's the focus now that such a big, not obstacle, but a big event is behind you? Now you got to focus on winning hockey games. Yeah,
no doubt, because they have played poorly over the last 2 weeks. There is no doubt about that. And that's it. I mean, it's getting healthy, staying healthy. Now that the traveling circus is over, and there'll always be media and extra media around because it's Alex Ovechkin and because they're going to be the 1 seed and maybe overall in the NHL and certainly in the East and so on and so forth. But they have not played good hockey the last 2 weeks, and they've got a big injury to Alexei Protas, who's a 30-plus goal scorer, who's their main or one of their top penalty killers, who's just a big hulking dude. Trust me, he almost killed me in an elevator yesterday. They right now their top goaltender, Logan Thompson, who was struggling a little bit before he got hurt. He's got a concussion, so he's day-to-day. We'll see what happens with him. He should be back in, probably not Thursday against Carolina, but maybe next weekend in a back-to-backer against Columbus. But we'll see how he recovers from that. We'll see if anybody else gets injured. But they've got to get their defensive game on track. They've got to get their goaltending on track. They got to get everything kind of buttoned down, their lines, everybody, again, on one page. They're not playing a good back and forth game. And it's hurt them. It's caught up to them in terms of the goals allowed. So I would say over the next 10 to, 12 days or whatever it is until the end of the regular season, that's the number one focus now that this piano monkey, whatever, is off their back, right? And it did affect, I think, the team as a whole. So that's it. And, remember, they have not won a first-round playoff series since the Stanley Cup year, which was 2018. To put it in perspective, since then the Lightning have won 2 Stanley Cups and made it to a Stanley Cup final. Right? It's been a long time. You've like with all this regular season, great sustained play, great, awesome. They might win the President's Trophy, all that. I don't believe in jinx. They've got to make it past the first round. If they lose to Montreal or Ottawa or whoever in the first round, that is bad news bears, man.
We don't want that at all. Yeah, we see how that goes in the East sometimes. You have some success, all of a sudden you start looking around, you're like, damn, we haven't won a first-round playoff series. It's just a lot of good talent here in the Eastern Conference. WrestleMania 621 on Twitter/X. You can check them out, Team 980, 1 to 4 p.m., team980.com/listen. Go check out every once in a while. I want to hear what's going on with my guy, Chris Russell, and things up there in the nation's capital. I always tune in. Chris, you're the best, man. Thank you so much again. So happy that you were there to experience that. We talk about sports a lot for a living, but we all started as sports fans, and to be able to be in the building for moments like that, it's why we inevitably get into this business. So congratulations, my friend, on being there, and we'll talk to you again soon, bud. Thanks.
My guy, I appreciate all the kind words as always. Appreciate you having me. Love you, man. And anytime you need anything, let me know. And we'll be talking about obviously the Bolts and and the Caps and maybe a little raise in bucks along the way. So
you got it, pal. Thanks.
Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Chris Russell. I mean, that guy's the man. He's on air at 1:00 today, and for him to be able to hop on with us live from DC after being in New York yesterday for watching Alex Ovechkin break the record, it's amazing. And I want to bring this guy in here for our weekly visit. It's our pal Ian Beckles. What's going on, Beck?
How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Did you see I said we're going to try to talk today without talking about the NFL. We're going to get back into football somehow. Some roundabout way. But I wanted to ask you about a couple things. I wanted to start with Alexander Ovechkin breaking the record yesterday. As a kid that grew up in Montreal and to be able to see Wayne Gretzky do everything for the Edmonton Oilers, like you looked at Gretzky like rarefied air. Like I didn't think it was ever going to be broken. When you see what Alexander Ovechkin did yesterday, and in the fashion that he does it right. Like he's a beer drink. He's like Stone Cold. Like he's a beer drinking. You look at him without a shirt on. You're like, that's not a guy that scored 895 goals. Like he's more like American than he really understands. Man, he's wild. To be able to see that, what were kind of some of the thoughts that came to your head?
Well, I did grow up with Wayne Gretzky, and being from Canada, I heard about Wayne Gretzky before he got into the league. I mean, it was like a lore. Like you heard his name, and like you got to figure when Wayne Gretzky got into the NHL, he was breaking records immediately. Right. So think about what he was doing in like AAA hockey and stuff. It was stupid. So I heard about, you hear Phil Esposito's father tell him, enjoy your records now because Wayne's going to beat him. I still think Wayne Gretzky is the best or the most dominant athlete I've ever seen, still to this point. That being said, there was a time where I said, nobody's ever going to beat his record. And when somebody said Ovechkin's about to beat his record, I go, what? Like it almost like sideswiped me. I'm like, not right. Gretzky. Nobody's going to beat him. Nobody's going to beat his points record. That's not going to happen. But the fact that Ovechkin caught up to him in goals, period, is crazy. And I remember there used to be an argument, Ovechkin or Crosby. I was always on team Ovechkin. I've always liked the way Ovechkin plays. It's not like Crosby's not a good player, but I was always been a fan of Ovechkin and the way he plays.
I think Crosby just broke the record for most 20-goal seasons consecutively for Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Oh,
so
really?
Like for them to both be still balling out, like I don't think you could go wrong. I mean, both number one picks 1 year after the other. I mean, Crosby won 3 cups, Ovechkin won 1, but he owns the goal record. Like those are two. I mean, you could argue about that for the rest of your life. I don't know if you're going to be wrong. We talk a lot about the LeBron MJ thing, but I think the Crosby and Ovechkin one, I think that's another great argument to have. And where could you go wrong? Like it didn't have the same teams over the years that Crosby did, but he was more of an efficient goal scorer. Crosby, a little more of an all-around game, better defensively. I mean, I tell you what, they're both winners. You can't go wrong either way. What does it say about a guy like that, Ian? Because Chris, who just joined us there from DC, he brought up a great point that early on in his career, you looked at a guy and they heard he liked to party a lot. And you don't know when you hear about that from a kid that's, in his, late teens, early 20s, you don't know if he's really taking his craft seriously. But when you then prove it, like you are legit, and then you continue to score and you continue to keep winning, and then you win a cup, I think the narrative has to change. And Chris just said it has, because then to me, it's like, all right, well, if you like to party, what does that mean? It means you're around your teammates. And if you're a good teammate, I think they'll follow you. And I just think it's amazing throughout this entire run with him being like, he has got so many old teammates and people. Derek Jeter's making videos for him, and Simone Biles and Michael Phelps. Like, they don't do that for people that aren't engaging, that aren't good teammates, that aren't good people, that aren't good leaders. I mean, how important is that to be able to have a guy that is he's just willing to be one of the guys instead of like, I'm up here and everybody else is down here?
Well, it's funny. You almost uncovered, King Tut's tomb there. But what you just said, you basically just said you could be a party animal as long as you're a good person and you're a good player. That's what you said, and you're 100% right.
Yeah.
We only talk about the party animals that don't succeed or aren't playing well. If they eliminated party animals from sports, there'd be no hockey players. I'm serious. Like, I've never been out with a hockey player and they didn't drink an inordinate amount of beer. Okay, I've never seen that. There'd be zero football players. There might be a couple basketball players, a couple lacrosse players, but everybody that I've ever played with, quarterbacks, linemen, defensive linemen, they're all party animals. That's part of it. And I think the press likes to get involved in, that guy likes to hang out, but that dude that likes to hang out is also the ringleader. He's also the gang leader, and he's also the spiritual leader. So hockey, when they get together, those guys are going to party, man. I mean, that's been a thing. Hockey, beer is around hockey more than maybe I've seen any other sport. So the fact that he drinks a god-awful or a god-awful amount of beer, that's almost like a monkey piano that your boy said, Russell. Get the monkey piano off your back. You know
When he sounds like, I like that. Get the monkey
Yeah.
piano. Because people say, get the monkey, get the piano. I like the monkey piano for sure.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I wanted to ask you something about fan interaction. Because there is Boston Celtics fans last night yelling at Marcus Smart, saying a fan crossed the line when he was heckling the road team's bench. And then we also saw something over the weekend with Manchester United, Manchester City, where Phil Foden from City is walking off the field and people are yelling at him about his mom, who got arrested a couple of years ago in an abuse thing where she got into a fight. Where is the line for you as a guy that played professional sports? Because you have these fans, and we've seen Russell Westbrook have his interactions with fans over the years, and even LeBron and Kevin Durant. Like, where do you fall as far as that whole argument of, well, the fans, they paid for a ticket, they're allowed to say and they're allowed to boo and say whatever they want. But there's also there's got to be a line somewhere. Like, it's one thing to boo to a guy or say that he stinks or something like that, but once you start getting personal, I feel like there's got to be a discussion that has to be had. Where do you fall, knowing that you've seen it from the professional athlete side, but also covering it too in the media over the years?
Well, there's no line, first of all. We all know when they say where's the line, that means that it doesn't exist, okay? You could ask me 100 different situations, and I might give you 100 different answers. One I might be on the fan side, one I might be on the athlete side. Okay, so Ron Artest, okay? Everybody's like, he can't. If somebody throws a beer on me and I see him throw it on me, I'm going up in the stands. I'm just telling you. I won't be able to stop myself from going up in the stands. So I don't want to, and what you said, the fans pay their money, so blah, blah, bullshit, okay? Because we're all human, all right? I'm human and you're human. And if I'm walking by you and you walk by me, you look me right in my face and say something that you can't say in a bar, I have every right to dot your eye. Mm-hmm. I have every right. Now, you're not allowed to put your hands on people, but fans, for some reason, think that they're special and that an athlete shouldn't react. Oh, how about Joe Giravicius going in Philadelphia and they're talking about his kid? I mean, listen, if he went up in the stands, would everybody say you shouldn't do that? So I hate to draw a line because everybody's line is going to be different. If my wife passed, my wife left me, and some guy bust my balls, my wife leaving me, I'm going up in the stands. So every situation to me is individual. Most of the time for me, I'm going to lean on the athlete side because fans don't know no different. That's real.
Isn't that wild? I mean, so I see, I'm with you, man. I lean more towards of they're human beings, but there are times it's like, do the athletes have to take the higher road? Do they have to ignore it? Right. Because like, even going back to the Jackie Robinson days, right? Like he heard the worst that anybody's ever going to hear. And if he didn't act the way that he acted, who knows what the world would be like? It's more than just baseball. Who knows what the world would be like if he didn't bite his tongue, if he didn't take the high road? So what do you say to that when people look at the athletes like, hey, you get paid these you get paid millions of dollars, like ignore it? Well,
first of all, Jay, it's a great question, okay? And I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that question or really any black person that question. We know it's not the same to be white and the black. We know that, right? Okay. Although we should all be treated the same, it's not the same. Mm-hmm. If I said to you, Jay, I know a black guy who went to a club and he was letting white people call him the N-word, would you say he's strong or weak?
Yeah, hard for me to judge, but I don't like it.
But
don't like it.
Okay, you don't like it, okay? Because I don't like it either. I've said this before. They handpicked Jackie Robinson now. Now, you have to be strong to not go in the stands. I get that. But I'm going to let everybody know I'm a strong person, but I'm going up in the stands. I'm a different person than Jackie Robinson. He had to be a mild-mannered person who's able to take stuff. I could name you 1,000 black athletes that can't do what Jackie Robinson did, but they're still strong individuals, okay? So it would have happened eventually. You can't keep black people out of sports. And I don't want everybody to think that Jackie Robinson did it. First of all, he's the most he was under the spotlight. Everybody was watching him. But there was so many other thousands of black athletes that had to deal with the same thing in so many different sports that I don't want everybody to think that Jackie Robinson was the strongest black man ever. I'm not downplaying what Jackie Robinson did. It was amazing what he did. I just don't think I can do it. And a strong black man, that's not where we would start in 2025, is letting people call you the N-word. That's not what I would speak. That's not what I would start when I'm looking for strong black men.
I'm with you. And I think we get into a slippery slope when we start, we talk about situations like that. And then there's almost like a creating of a narrative that maybe isn't even there. When you have people come out and say, well, the reason why Caitlin Clark was so popular is because she was a white girl from Middle America. And I'm just like, well, she also was shooting the ball from the logos. A woman has never done that before. I mean, she's doing what Steph Curry was doing. And I think that's a divide.
Let's stop it right there, Jay. First of all, I hate this conversation, okay? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it doesn't matter what you say, they won't change their mind, okay? Right. It doesn't matter what, okay? But if you just stop right there with what you said, and I ask you, it has nothing to do with white or black. I mean, you have to take white or black out, then put it back in.
Yeah.
Right where you were, if Caitlin Clark, shooting the way she does, was black, listen to what I'm saying now, would she be as popular? Yes or no? What's the answer?
I would say no.
Okay, it's no, Jay. It's no, because America, the people who buy stuff, 95% of them are white. They have all the money. If you go to an NFL game, hockey game, baseball game, basketball game, there's white people in the stands buying white products. Now, there's black athletes, but if you're a white athlete, you're going to draw I know a NASCAR guy. Who's that? The black guy? Bubba something? Who's the black guy there? I don't even know his name. The NASCAR guy. Anyway, I don't know no NASCAR guys, but I know the black guy. You don't
know the black guy.
Bubba Watson or something.
Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace. That's the guy.
I don't know a NASCAR guy, but I know the black guy. I just don't know his name.
But listen, Jay, if I was watching a NASCAR, I would cheer for Bubba Wallace because, why not, right?
But why, though? But why? Because he's what? He's
black.
Yeah, but why does it stick out more?
Well, Jay. Okay.
Wait. Answer. Just follow me here. I followed you there. Follow me here.
Why does it stick out more?
Because there's not many of them.
Agreed.
That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why.
But he's not leading anything. No, if he was.
I know. But what I'm saying is that part of the reason is, yes, and I agree with that, the consumerisms, right? The consumers that are getting the product. But another reason why Caitlin Clark is so big, it's not because she's the first white girl that was good. It's because there's not that many. there's not that many
Correct.
white girls in the
Correct.
WNBA. So that's part of it. It's not the whole thing. That's why people think it's one or the other. Like, above all else, she had to be good. That's the first thing that she had to be. She had to do something that was going to catch somebody's eye, because you know who didn't do this? Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart has the greatest college basketball resume of all time. 4 times into the national championship game with UConn. She was the most outstanding player all 4 times. Like, you don't see this. You don't see this from men. You don't see it from women. She won a championship with the Liberty, but still, if Breanna Stewart walks down the sidewalk, maybe people don't know who she is. She's white. Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird are the 2 most decorated women in women's basketball. They're white. Like, what do you know what I mean? So it's like, but they didn't change the game.
Jay, more people know them than a lot of other players.
No doubt. But Candace Parker, right? Candace Parker is one of the most visible. She's doing NBA. She's doing men's stuff.
One of the best. She's also one of the best ever, one of the prettiest ever.
No doubt about it. But she's not white. You know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, she's a leader, right? She's a leader. She won. She went to Chicago. She went home. She won. Now she's on NBA TV. She's doing stuff with Shaq and Kenny and D Wade and everybody. Okay, which is great.
Let me ask you.
What I'm saying is that this whole thing with Caitlin Clark, right, is that if we just look at it as the only reason why she's as popular that she is because she's a white girl from Middle America,
that's ignorant. Who talks like that? Anybody
that's what Monica McNutt said, man. Monica McNutt, who's on national TV, she does ESPN. But that's what I'm saying, Ian. You have to be, when you give people a platform to say things in front of millions of people, and this is something you and I have. This is part of the reason why you and I always get along. Okay, is that you and I
not always.
No, this one thing I'm talking about. You son of a bitch. This one thing I'm talking about is that you and I take our platforms very serious. Correct. We're not going to say things just to say them.
Thank you.
We're not going to say things to make people happy. We're not going to say things just because it goes along with what everybody is saying. Right? We've always been like that. You and I, this is why we're as good of friends as we are, is because that type of aspect of life, our perspective, our point of view is the same way. We may not agree on certain things, but you and I have never, ever gotten to a point where we're just going to say something to say it. We're not going to say something to make each other feel better. And that's the thing that bothers me, is that when people have a platform and you say something in a topic that is so divisive, right? Where people either like somebody or don't like somebody because of the color of their skin. You can't get on a platform and just say something like that, because as we have just shown in the last 7 minutes of talking about this, it's not one or the other. It's a complex conversation. Is it part of it? No doubt. That's why I said no. It's certainly part of the conversation. But if you don't go into, there's been other white women, it's because she's a white woman that is in a sport that is a lot of black women. If you don't have layered discussions about things like this, then that's, I think, more harmful than good, because you're not talking about the greatness of Caitlin Clark. You're not boosting up Angel Reese or any other, whether it's white or African-American females in the WNBA. All you're doing is spitting shit out there, and it's pissing people off. And I don't like sports talk like that. And I think people are getting farther and farther away from appreciating that. Just look at the Stephen A. LeBron thing of like, people are talking about it, but it's turning people off. I know a lot less people that are tuning into the show because it's like, let's just throw some shit out there to get people mad. I don't want to be involved with sports if it's like that. You and I, when we have discussions, even if we don't agree, I think we get to a better place at the end of it, even if we don't necessarily have the same point of view.
Well, that's why you come to Dignitary Cafe. We don't talk politics. We talk subjects, okay? Not so Trump, we try not to do that, although it happens sometimes. We don't like a whole lot of religion. But when you're talking about popularity, and we'll use politics, okay? Mike Calta is a good example. I'm on Mike Calta's show. I was on it this morning. Mike Calta is a Trump guy, okay? But he's still able to say, well, God damn it, that's stupid, and this is not working. Those are the kind of guys I can talk to. Like, there's only 2 sides. You pick the side, okay, go with it, that's cool. My thing with the Caitlin Clark thing, there's going to be people that thought she was going to be good. Some people didn't think they were going to be good. They're going to be right and wrong. But there's, just like I just thought Mrs. McNutt said, I didn't like the way she phrased it. In America, I don't want anybody to tell me if I let you put money or invest in an athlete, in any sport in America, and they're all even, and one is white and one is black. If you pick the black one, you're wrong. You're taking out a large portion of the country that won't cheer for a black person. There's a lot, there is. We hear about them. They're just not gonna cheer or buy a jersey from a black person. So why would you pick the black person over the white person? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is good, better than anybody. All I say is in America, when you're a professional athlete and you're Caucasian, you start off popularity-wise 40% up. That's just life. I mean, if you go to Uganda and you're a white athlete, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it. Okay, it's a majority thing because everybody in the stands is gonna be black. So listen, I watch Caitlin Clark, and anybody says she's not something, you're wrong. Okay, that's why I think Caitlin Clark is in such a bad position. I'm being serious about that. Caitlin Clark is in the middle of being around people. She's never I never heard her say anything wrong racially, but she has racists using her as a platform, and she doesn't want that. Right. It's bad for her, okay? It's a bad
But the other side, I think the other side's true though as well.
What's that?
She's catching vitriol for things 100%. That has nothing to do with her.
100%.
So she's caught in the middle of
but everybody's they're gonna talk about her. She's the one. She's it. They're gonna talk about her. So listen, Caitlin, if you're it, she's it already. She's second year and she's it. There's nobody bigger than her in the WNBA. It's not close. She is Michael Jordan. So from now on, she's catching it. She better get used to it because she's it. Done.
Yeah, and for her, I think this goes back into what sport she's in, right? It's what sport she's in, because we're not having this conversation about Mike Trout. We're not having this conversation about Ohtani or Aaron Judge, right? We're not having that. We're not even having it in the NFL. We're not having it about Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow.
But Jay,
right?
You could. You still can.
Yeah,
you still can. Listen,
I don't know if you can, though, because of
100%. 100%. You can't tell me if Christian McCaffrey was black, he would be as popular. He's not gonna. He's not gonna. You know how many little white boys? You know how many little white boys have Christian McCaffrey jerseys on? And listen, I don't want you to think that I don't think he's great, because he's fantastic. But the reason why these little boys have Christian McCaffrey jerseys on, because they can see themselves in Christian McCaffrey. That's life. That's all I want to see.
But again, it's a fair point, and the reason being is that the same thing with Caitlin Clark. In a country where being white is the majority, we just looked at two examples of where the white people are the minority. You don't see white basketball players like that, and you don't see white running backs. So that even though you're not wrong, like that even puts more gas on it, right? Because now the majority of the country is looking at a portion or a sect of people where they're the minority, and then that person is really good. So that goes into the conversation too. And I think Caitlin Clark's is, I don't know if it's comparable at the level, because she's the face of the league, whether people like her or not. And then you have people that are not as accepting as her in the league. Not necessarily. They're making it hard on her, like every rookie, right? But, some of the comments that happen off the court, and it's just like, well, all right, well, you turn it into that. And even, we got the same thing with Dawn Staley before the championship game. Oh, well, everybody's making a big deal out of Paige Beckers like they did with Caitlin Clark last year. And it was just like, well, they're National Player of the Year. This happens in every game, right? It happened in Florida State when they played Virginia Tech in the national championship game years ago, when all the talk was about who? Michael Vick, because he was a beast, right? So, like, it just happens when it's a strong team going against a Seminole player, but what people said about that. Here's Dawn Staley complaining about the white girls again. Like, that kind of stuff is just the conversations, unfortunately, that we still have in this country.
Well, this is the unfortunate part for me, okay? I'm a fan of Caitlin Clark. I'm going to give you a great example. I'm a fan of the way Tim Tebow plays football. I've always liked the way he plays the game. His fans make me at times go, come on. You see what I'm saying? I think it's the same with a lot of athletes. You see what I'm saying? Like, Caitlin Clark she's so talented. And when people say, well, why do they not embrace her in the league? Because she's the enemy. And all they're hearing is about her.
Right.
Nobody's talking about them. Now, is it warranted? A little bit. But as an opponent, if you ask me about Caitlin Clark and I'm playing Caitlin Clark, fuck Caitlin Clark. I'm not gonna say, well, she's great. She's a great passer. And so when people do that, they think it's hate. When it's just not love. I don't
Mhm.
have to love her. Oh, they should embrace her. She's bringing the money. I'm not embracing nobody on the other team. And I just don't see people like people want Angel Reese to talk good about Caitlin Clark. They are enemies.
Mhm.
They can't like each other. You think Bird and Magic liked each other? They respected each other, but they didn't like each other until afterwards.
They
So
were
I
also,
just I
yeah.
just think there's just so many perceptions of the way people are treating. Why are they knocking her down? She's all their money because she's a rookie. And she's
Mhm.
getting treated like every rookie got treated, and you only noticing when she gets knocked down.
Yeah, well, because there's that racial divide, just the way it goes. Even though the same thing happened to LeBron, the same thing happened to Michael Jordan, the same thing happened to all these other players,
Everybody that ever played,
same thing that
everybody,
happened to Bird and Magic and Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. Right, it happened to everybody. Beck, what's
everybody.
going on? 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard, the Dignitary Cafe. What do you guys got going on over there, buddy?
Funny you ask. We have an event coming up on Saturday, Best Blunt in the Bay. And
What?
anybody who's a blunt roller, and we're doing this with Suncoast Normal. Anybody who's a blunt roller, we're gonna have a contest. This is the young lady that won last year. Her name is Indica Fetish. You might want to go on the Twitter or X and Miss Indica Fetish. I'll be going against her. She has some interesting stuff on her X.
Wow.
Indica Fetish. She likes to show her toes and her other accoutrements.
Wow. You're battling with her?
Yeah, I'm going head to head with Indica Fetish.
Nice. How many people are going to be there to show their skills?
That I don't know. I mean, Suncoast Normal, they're all the cannabis alliance and to legalize it and all those kind of things. They're having it here, and it should be fun for all you 420 enthusiasts.
There you
Saturday at
go.
about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we are about 2 weeks away.
Yeah, man.
April
2 weeks
20,
is this weekend.
2 weeks. No, I'm saying 2 weeks from 420.
Oh, wow. That's always it's always 420 at Dignitary Cafe.
4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Go
There
check them
you
out, the
go.
Dignitary Cafe. Ian_Beckles on all social media platforms. Appreciate you, Beck. Good talk today, buddy. You did get Christian McCaffrey in there, you son of a gun. You got some
One love,
football
one
in there.
love.
See you, my brother. Be
Yeah,
well.
man.
The one and only Ian Beckles. And yeah, let's kind of dive right into what we saw over the weekend too. A good chat with Beck about college basketball and everything that was going on. Love. First off, what Team Tampa Bay did: Rob Higgins, Claire Lessinger, Tony Diaz, the entire crew. It was insane to see how many people were downtown, all the different events that were going on, some great basketball. I know the games, you look at it like, was it the greatest game? What it is what it is. There was some great talent out there and a lot of people in the stands. So many of my colleagues that were out there as well, to be able to see them. My buddy David Shealy from Channel 10, who's been holding it down while Evan Klosky's on his honeymoon, getting to interview Lisa Leslie. When you get to interview certain athletes, right? Some of the greatest of the greatest. And yeah, I mean, I said this when Chris was on. We get into this profession, we get into covering sports because, we love sports, right? You don't just do this just to do it. You don't say, this is like convenient. Like, you grew up as a diehard fan of a player and a team. And when you get a chance to cover certain people, when you get a chance to interview certain people that were just legends in their sport that made such a profound impact on the people that came after them, to see the look on David's face when he interviewed Lisa Leslie, I would tell you guys to go check it out. Go watch that interview, because I know it meant a lot to him. And David being a good pal, like, you always want to support local, right? You hear me say that a lot here on the Jay Recher podcast. Guys, I got to take this call real quick. Hold on one second. Hello. Hi. Yes. Yeah, I'm actually on a call right now, so I'm gonna have to give somebody the phone real quick. Okay. All right. Can I give you a number to call, please? Sure. All right, sorry about that. We got people coming to fix the AC here. It's steaming right now. So yeah, an incredible weekend. And again, support local, support David Shealy, and the interview with Lisa Leslie. It was awesome. But yeah, looking at the national championship game, the UConn Huskies, so freaking aggressive the entire game. A lot of teams lose to South Carolina before they step on the court. It's kind of ironic. That's what happened to UConn for so many years. But the Huskies just kept their foot on the gas pedal the entire time. 82-59 victory over the Gamecocks. And if you look back at Coach Dawn Staley on the bench, it almost is like she was resigned to her fate. 35-3 going into this game. Like, just amazing to see what she's been able to do to that program. They are the elite. Even though UConn won the national championship, the best program right now in college basketball is South Carolina. And that's not taking anything away from Gino. He's the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. It's the best program of all time. But the most successful team as of late is South Carolina, and that doesn't change. The defending champions from last year, they fall this time. But wow, I'm just so impressed with UConn, and AZ Fudd kept her foot on the gas the entire time. 9 of 17, even though she was 1 of 6 from 3. Because listen, there's only 1 3 that was made in the first half from UConn, which is kind of wild. And it was Ashlyn Shade right before, like, it was about 5 seconds left. And I thought that spoke volumes over what UConn was trying to do. They were 4 of 17 from 3. But it didn't affect them at all. They did not. And listen, South Carolina was only 4 for 16. It's a new era, right? 8 threes total in the national championship game. We'll see what happens tonight with the men. But there was nothing that South Carolina could do. I mean, 2 of their starters, Hall and Johnson, only 2 points. They didn't have any starters in double figures. And then you look at UConn. Sarah Strong, the freshman. Holy smokes. What a load. 24 points, 15 rebounds to go with 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. My God, she was amazing. And then I mentioned Fudd, 24. She crushed it in the first half. And then Paige Beckers, 17 points. The emotion on her face. And it was a little bit more of like, let's get everybody else involved and making sure she hit those mid-range shots when she had to. But what Paige was able to do in that game, and to see her embrace Gino Auriemma, first title for Gino in 9 years, number 12 overall. That relationship with Paige Beckers, a lot of people thought she was destined for the WNBA, and she ends up coming back to UConn. And you look at all the success that Gino has had over the years with, Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and Maya Moore and, Katie Lou and with Stewie and all of these great players over the years. It would have been a little strange to see him not win a championship with Paige Beckers. She's been, one of the faces of college basketball for women these last couple of years, dealing with the injuries, being kind of in the shadow a little bit because of what happened with Caitlin Clark, South Carolina's dominance and everything that was going there. And then she finishes her career on a high note with the championship, and that embrace with her and Gino Auriemma. That's one upside of when you have a game like that, where it is a little bit of a blowout and you get to take the player out and you get to celebrate with the coach. That's what it's all about, man. It's what it's all about. And, looking at a lot of videos over the weekend, one thing that really got to me was a video between Kobe Bryant and Reggie Miller from years ago, where Reggie was trying to get Kobe to send his daughter Gigi to UCLA. Obviously, Reggie, a great player there for the Bruins because, obviously they've been living in California. But he said that Gigi had her heart set on going to UConn, and Gigi Bryant would have been a freshman on this team. So we lost Gigi and Kobe, a couple years ago, February 26th. Or January 26th. It's January 26th, excuse me. It's still surreal, man. It's still surreal to know that, they're not here, and what would have been, right, if she was on this team. I mean, they already won the championship. Just imagine how the world, obviously changed. But it sucks, but we remember an incredible year for UConn, and back to the top of the mountain where a lot of people think that they deserve and they belong. This is the best program in women's college basketball history, no doubts. All right, big announcement here on the program. Big announcement on the program. We have a guest coming up on Thursday at 12:10 right here on the Jay Recher podcast. We've been trying to find a way to get him on here with us, and so excited. I was having a conversation about him over the weekend. But joining us on Thursday at 12:10, the new head coach of the USF men's basketball team, Brian Hodgson, is going to join us on the program. I cannot wait to talk to him. I knew he's been doing a lot of traveling after he came here and did the press conference and met with the media. He had to go home. He got to pack. He had to move, right? It's a different life, moving from Arkansas State here to Tampa, Florida. So to have him and his wife and the little one here, he's back in the 813 and he's going to be making his rounds. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled for Coach Brian Hodgson making the rounds here in the Tampa Bay area. We don't have the first one-on-one with him. I had to clarify that with USF because I didn't want to say that. I know he's got probably one or two before then, but you heard it first right here on the Jay Recher podcast that he's going to be doing the rounds. So Coach Brian Hodgson is going to join us Thursday at 12:10 right here on the program. So definitely all your friends and family, Bulls Nation, let everybody know that Coach will be here with us, and excited to see what the future holds for the Bulls. Cannot wait. All right, follow me on all social media platforms at Jay Recher. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And the new. I am on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart. Make sure you check it out there as well. All right. Florida and Houston in the national championship tonight. That is going to be a great game between the Gators and the Cougars. But before we go ahead, let's look back at what happened in that one. Saturday night. Wow. Gators 79-73. Walter Clayton Jr. with 34 points. That dude is unflappable. And he has such a soft shooting touch, too. I mean, you just watch when he's shooting the basketball from deep. You don't see a lot of balls like clanging off the rim. Sometimes you don't see like a lot of swishes either. It just so delicately touches the rim, and like he's just got such an incredible touch from so far away. Shout out to Elijah Martin, the FAU transfer, 17 points and a huge dunk. That's going to go down in the history books. I mean, that really set the tone for the Gators in that game. And Janai Broom, he gave it everything he had. But you can tell that he was clearly compromised with that shoulder injury. And I said that on Friday, if you listen to the program. That's what I was worried about when it came to Auburn, is did they have enough around Broom, because he wasn't 100%. I was a little surprised that Condon wasn't a bigger factor. Only 1 point, and he fouled out. I mean, Condon he really was non-existent for a huge chunk of that second half. I thought that Condon would then take advantage, and I saw him away from the basket a lot, setting screens. I think he's got to be better tonight against Houston if they're going to win. I didn't like that there was a lack of aggression on his part, but again, kind of nitpicking a little bit, because you look at what Martin was able to do. You were looking what Hogg was able to do, and what Walter Clayton Jr. was able. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. 30 points in these back-to-back games. I mean, you're looking at some of the names, like Larry Bird, and you start getting Bird in the conversation. You obviously did something right. A good game there. Not much of a surprise, I think, as much as the second game. That's going to go down as one of the more surprising finishes in Final Four history. Duke in control the majority of the game, but they don't play it like that. It doesn't matter how many minutes you were out in front. It doesn't matter what your time of possession was when you were leading on the scoreboard. The only time that the score matters is at the end of the game, and the Houston Cougars pull off the upset, a 70-67 victory over the Duke Blue Devils. And I think at the end of that game, and I was texting with Aaron Jacobson, was like, how did Duke lose that game? How the hell did they not win that thing? And I'll tell you why here in a bit, but I want to give credit to Houston and Kelvin Sampson and one other person, Rich Hollenberg. He was all over those guys. And you remember, I posted this on my social media. I posted on my Twitter today, Twitter/X. You can go back and check it out. He said to watch out for those guys. He said to keep an eye on Houston. And if you don't believe me, let's play it here real quick on the program, just so we can show our guy Rich some love. last time you and I spoke, and ironically enough, it was here when I was at Emily, we spoke about Houston, and that's a team right now that, yeah, no, there's teams that are going to look at Florida, they're going to look at Auburn, they're going to look at Duke, but Houston's another one of those teams where they are just so dangerous, and a team to certainly keep an eye on as the tournament gets underway this weekend.
I couldn't agree more, Jay. I think Houston, for some strange reason, flies under the radar. And the only sense I can make of it is that they don't have an eye-popping offense like so many teams, especially in the SEC, have had. You look at all the other one seeds and Florida and Auburn and Duke, they all have spectacular stars, singular stars, Janai Broome, Cooper Flagg, Walter Clayton. But what Houston has is not only the best defense in America this year, they have been the best defense in America for at least the last 5 years. And this is a team that wins with defense. The biggest difference is this year they have some knockdown, lights-out shooters from outside three-point range who can not only keep you in games, but win you. Emmanuel Sharp, Tampa native, is one of the best three-point shooters in the country, and he always plays his best in conference tournament games and postseason games. And then they have LJ Cryer, who's been around for a long time, first with Baylor, now with Houston. This is a team that brought 4 of their 5 starters back because everyone felt like they had unfinished business. And the one dude they brought in, Milos Uzan, has taken control of that offense from the point guard position and bought into how hard this team plays. And I think, personally, they're the team to beat in the NCAA tournament.
So there you go. Rich Hallenberg was all over it right from the jump. And they, for as much as we want to talk about talent, we want to talk about freshmen and the one and done when it comes to college basketball. This is an example of a veteran group coming together and showing what experience can do for you. Not just this season, but in years past. I mean, LJ Cryer leading the way with 26 points. Our guy, Emmanuel Sharp from Tampa, making some big buckets. And how about 6th-year Cougar, Juwan Roberts, knocking down the 2 biggest free throws of his life. Stones. They did not give in. They hung around. They hung around. They hung around. And you saw when Duke was trying to inbound the basketball, that's when the intensity got ratcheted up. And that's when you saw the difference between a veteran group and a young group. That's when you saw a team that has done this multiple times, defending the inbounds passes at the end of games. And there was a discussion on either Thursday or Friday on ESPN with Seth Greenberg and Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. was talking to Seth Greenberg like, what do you mean that you would have Walter Clayton Jr. with the ball in his hands at the end of the game and not Cooper Flagg? And he's like, well, we really haven't seen Duke do that. You haven't seen them playing a lot of close games. And that is what worried me going into that game. You guys know I'm a Duke fan, but going into that game, that's what terrified me about this situation, is because I knew of the grit, I knew of the determination and the toughness of Houston, and there's nothing you can do to mimic or replace experience. And Houston showed it. They showed that they've been down in those situations before, and they were going to make the right plays down the stretch. The will over the skill in that situation shone through. And listen, Houston earned the victory. I know a lot of people are going to say Duke choked it away, but I think Houston earned the victory. On the Blue Devil side, this is where it went wrong. They started playing the clock and not the opponent. They started taking the shot clock down, and they just didn't go with the flow of the game. They didn't keep that foot on the gas pedal, and they were just standing around waiting for Cooper Flagg to take over, standing around waiting for Houston to just go away, and they were just going to waltz right into the national championship game against Florida, and then there you go. But that didn't happen. That was what they thought the narrative was going to be. But, and I don't want to say it like Duke got complacent. It was just a lack of experience. They haven't been in those situations before. They didn't realize that they needed to continue to score. And I thought it was very ironic that during the halftime show, Charles Barkley was like, Duke's going to score 80 points. Duke didn't even get to 70. 33 points for Duke in the second half. Not enough. And listen, we want to talk about experience for the players. It's not just the experience for the players. It's also the experience for the coach. This is where John Shire, only being a third-year coach, I mean, it reared its ugly head. And Kelvin Sampson being around at many stops across the national basketball landscape, that's where the experience factor played off. I mean, Duke not getting Con Knipple involved enough in the second half was a huge part. And then Tyrese Proctor. After Proctor missed a couple threes, he was afraid to pull the trigger. He missed that free throw at the end of the game as well. But when he stopped taking threes, the Cougars knew that. And they're so freaking smart. And you watch this entire thing play out. Because when a veteran team, when a well-coached team notices that one player on the opposition is not firing on all cylinders, he's afraid to attack the basket, or maybe not afraid to attack the basket, he's afraid to shoot from deep, and all he's going to do is attack the basket. I mean, they started playing way off of him. And then everything that made him effective, they just took him out of it. So smart. I give so much credit to Houston. I know a lot of people look at Duke and they love to prey on their downfall. That's one of those teams. That's one of those teams that in sports, whether it's the Yankees or the Lakers or the Cowboys or Alabama or Duke, like those are one of those teams people love to see lose. They love it. But I don't think it's fair to say that and not give credit to what the Houston Cougars were able to do and what Kelvin Sampson was able to do. And now we have this game tonight, national championship affair between the Florida Gators and the Houston Cougars. And guess what? First off, it's going to be a late game. You know that. For anybody thinking that this game it's 8:50, the scheduled time. Does anybody think that this game is actually going to start at 8:50 tonight? Probably not. But Houston is going into this game, and I know Florida's just a 1.5 point favorite. The over-under is 140.5. More and more dollars coming in on Houston, which is a little surprising. I wonder if that changes as we get closer to tip-off. But if you look back at a lot of the brackets that were filled out, not many people had Houston. It was Florida, it was Duke, it was Auburn, and you heard that in the clip that we just showed you with Rich Hollenberg. Those were the three teams everybody was talking about. Houston was just because they didn't have that one star, even though I would argue that LJ Cryer is a beast. Houston's there. Houston is one of the final two teams left standing, and they have a tall task ahead of them. Now, how they guard Walter Clayton Jr. tonight is going to tell me everything you need to know about this game. Because kind of like going back to what we just said about the first game, Florida against Auburn. If Houston is going to have that just dogged defense against the guards, Martin and Richard and Walter Clayton Jr., the other guys have to step up, right? You have to see, and Condon's a big, big part of this game. That's the guy I'm keeping a close eye on because I didn't like how he was not attacking. I don't like that he was in a position where if the game came to him, I don't know if he would have been able to do anything. 1 point, just 1 point in the national semifinal. You have 5 fouls. That's where I think, all right, what is Houston going to do? How are they going to attack? Listen, early on in that game against Duke, Houston was incredible on the offensive glass. They did a great job of cleaning up, and you saw it down the stretch too when one of those threes were missed, and then there was an offensive rebound for a jam to bring them down within one. That's what Florida is going to have to do. The boards, right? Who is going to win the rebounding battle? Whoever does that may end up winning that game because you look at what happened with Houston and Duke. I mean, they out-rebounded Duke 42-31 by 11. In the game with the Gators and Auburn, they out-rebounded Auburn 39-30. So as much as we want to talk about Walter Clayton Jr., I want to look at something like that. I want to look at the rebounding. Is Houston going to be able to get those second chance points, right? How many of them are they going to be able to get? Do they have them on here? No, not at the one I'm looking at. But Offensive rebounds, 12 for the Gators in that game. They only gave up 9. So that's what I'm looking at. They gave up 9 offensive rebounds to Auburn. How many did Houston have in the game against Duke? Offensive rebounds, they had 18. 18 offensive rebounds for Houston against Duke. Look at that number tonight. That is the number that I think is going to be the difference between winning and losing. If Florida can keep Houston under, let's say, 12, I think they can win. You start getting up to 18, and you're talking about Duke team with Cooper Flagg and Malawach. I mean, it's not like they're not small guys, right? Watch the offensive glass for Houston. If they can do that early in the game and they get points. See, part of the reason why they were as far back as they were is because early on, they had those offensive rebounds early on in that game. They didn't score. They had like 5 in the first 10 minutes, and they only had 3 points. So if they can do that, get on the glass, and then score, completely different animal tonight. And Christopher Cole, I get you, buddy. I did want to see Walter Clayton Jr. and Cooper Flagg, no doubt about it. Lady Evil, Jay, who's the surprise guest you were going to announce today? Lady Evil, thank you so much. Coach Brian Hodgson is going to join us on Thursday. So the head coach of the USF men's basketball team, he joins us on Thursday at 12:10, one of the first one-on-ones he's going to do here in the Tampa Bay area. He's going to be making the rounds here in Tampa Bay, but he'll be here with us Thursday at 12:10. All right, it's time for the MLB breakdown. Let's talk about some of the big stories. And I want to answer this question from our guy, Nick in Sarasota. Kind of random. Is anyone having trouble believing the Caminero hype? Something about watching Wander Franco or Fonder has kind of tempered my expectations for prospects going forward. I don't know if it's not like that for the Rays as a whole. That is why I was so concerned going into the season about the Rays having a winning record and doing well, because I feel like there's an apathy. I feel like there is just the Rays, somebody said to me last weekend, the Rays have ruined baseball for me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a bad thing to hear. Like, you don't want to hear that from somebody. But just because of everything that has happened with, having a low payroll, not being able to, trading guys like Randy Arozarena and trading guys over the years, like, just think about how many great players the Rays traded, regardless of who they brought back, right? Names, looking at Price getting traded and looking at Longoria getting traded and looking Snell getting traded and looking all these different guys that got moved. It's just hard, man. It's you go to sports for an escape. You go into sports to have fun and to be happy. And when your guys get traded away and your owner, all the stuff with the stadium, it's just like when somebody said that to me, I was like, I felt so bad. And then Junior Caminero, he is one of those dudes where, I still think it's early, Nick, 9 games into the season, but he's a guy that needs to step up. I mean, 0 home runs and only 2 RBIs in 9 games. And the swing is very wild right now. One thing that you can always see from Wander Franco, damn, I did it, Junior Caminero, but you saw it with Wander Franco, and you see it, I think, with some other guys too, is when they're using the entire field, when they're hitting the ball to right center. You got me, dang it, just because you put the name on there, Nick, you got me. But Junior Caminero has to be driving the ball to right field, hitting that right center field gap. If he's trying to pull off the ball the entire time, like, that's not good. People are going to see that. People are going to pull off. He's going to hit these weak ground balls to the left side. He's going to pop up. He's not going to keep that barrel through the zone long enough. So he's going to be an easy out. He's going to be an easy out, no doubt. Got to stay back. You got to use the entire field. And that's what I'm looking at for Junior Caminero starting tomorrow night, because he's going to have to do it against Kyle Hendricks, the starter for the Angels last night. Longtime right-hander for the Chicago Cubs. This is a guy that his fastball is probably barely going to break 90. He's going to throw a crap ton of changeups, stay back and hit the ball the other way. Tomorrow night, he's either going to expose some of the weaknesses of the Tampa Bay Rays hitters, or he's going to be the perfect guy for them to be able to adjust and to be able to realize that they have to go line to line and not just be so pull heavy. All right, some of the other big stories around Major League Baseball. Looks like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to get the bag. Sources say the Blue Jays and Vlad Guerrero Jr. have agreed to a 14-year, $500 million contract extension pending a physical. This is what sources have said Sunday night, according to Jeff Passan from ESPN. The no deferral deal keeps the homegrown star in Toronto for the rest of his career. Comes as the 5-5 Blue Jays in the midst of a road trip that takes him to Fenway to take on the Boston Red Sox today. I know a lot of people have been looking at Vlad Guerrero Jr. of like, where's he going to go? Is he going to go to the Yankees? Is he going to go to the Mets? Is he going to go to the Dodgers? Is he going to go to the Giants? You need to see a lot of these guys stay home. Like, you need a lot of these guys to, you know, I like free agency. I like that guys have an opportunity to go to different places and have their decision. That's what Curt Flood did many, many years ago. And you listen, you see Blue Jays, they haven't been shy. They try to get Soto, they try to get Ohtani. But it is a good sign for any sport, but especially baseball, that there are teams out there that are willing to splash the cash and to retain their players. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 26 years old, he's a guy that is going to be able to hit for the rest of his freaking life. I mean, he fell out of the womb swinging the bat and being able to do damage. I love his disposition. I love how he, you know, attacks the game. You need a guy like this. You need a guy, and he's got the potential there. Remember when he finished second to Ohtani in the MVP voting back in 2021, 311 hitter, 48 home runs, 111 RBIs. I know it hasn't been the same, but he was better towards the end of last season when, you know, he was just crushing it. So him, Bo Bichette, I hope they can retain those guys for their sake. I know it's not easy. Karma brings up a good point. Over under 75 pounds, Vlad Gades, now that he's secured the bag. It's only a matter of time before he's a DH full-time anyway. But yeah, I am with you. But again, I like seeing guys being retained by their hometown club. It is very, very important. Did you guys see the catch by Victor Robles yesterday for Seattle? Incredible. Can't play it here, but he made an unbelievable catch. He injured his left shoulder. He got carted off the field. We know what he was able to do there in Washington with the Nationals, helping them win a World Series championship. But, you know, some people said, like, he could have let it go foul, but that's not the kind of guy he is. And I remember talking last year with, I think it was Softy Maller up there in Seattle, about Victor Robles and what he does and coming to the park every day and giving 100%. You see it right there. The proof is in the pudding. We'll see how long he'll be out for. And he's not the only guy that's banged up. We saw Blake Snell go on the IL with the Dodgers with shoulder inflammation. So let's hope that it's not going to be too long for him. But yeah, I mean, it sucks, you know. 15-day IL due to inflammation in his throwing shoulder. Freddie Freeman on the 10-day IL on Thursday with an ankle ailment. We know that Clayton Kershaw, Enrique Hernandez, Mike Kopech as well. We know there's been some struggle early on from Roki Sasaki. Nobody is going to feel bad for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But again, we have to definitely show some love to our guy, Blake Snell. Dave Terry asking us who's in net for the Lightning tonight. It looks like it's going to be Andre Vasilevsky. And I also want to bring something else up too when it comes to baseball. The fact that they did what they did down the right field line at PNC Park, and they played the Yankees this weekend. I just don't quite understand how they think that people are going to be happy with how that they treat this team. Michael Kay said it on the broadcast the other day when they were playing the Yankees, that they haven't spent money on a free agent and paid him a multi-year contract since Ivan Nova. And it was like a 3-year deal, I think it was, in 2016. You think your team doesn't invest? And we talk about it with the Rays a lot, right? The Pirates haven't given a multi-year contract to a guy since 2016. You have the best young pitcher in baseball with Paul Skeens. And fans are just, you know, yeah, they had the walk-off victory yesterday for Tommy Pham over the Yankees. But to see what they did by putting a logo in right field that went in place of the number 21 logo to represent the late, great Roberto Clemente, I don't see how they did not know this was going to cause backlash. It's crazy to me. I mean, I just don't understand. It's a Surfside ad. Somebody from the Pittsburgh clothing company said, just realized they were placed here. We'll put the we'll give the tweet up for you guys real quick so you can see it. It's crazy, man. Here. I mean, what are we even doing right now? See where the 21 was, Clemente right there, just shy of the foul pole, and then there's the Surfside ad. I just, here's the Clemente where it was, there's the Surfside ad. I mean, how tone deaf and brain dumb do you have to be to do something like this? You think it's bad with the Rays. The Pirates are even worse. They're even worse. A Surfside ad, that's what you're putting up there, trying to get more money, and you take down the number of the guy who was the greatest player in your franchise's history, a guy that passed away doing such a great deed, going down to Nicaragua to help out earthquake victims. Like, what? Some teams just don't get it in sports. We're so lucky. And again, I don't know if it's fair to the other two teams, but we're so lucky that the Lightning makes so many smart choices. And it's just the little things, man. It's the little things like that. Yeah, it sucks when your team doesn't spend money and they trade away players and maybe you don't win on the field. But when you do little things like that, it makes the organization look terrible. The franchise becomes a laughingstock. That's not something that goes away until you change ownership. Just a fact. It's the same thing with that crazy looking Sean Taylor statue that they had there at Washington Stadium when Daniel Snyder was in charge. That was so embarrassing. It's the same thing as the split season Montreal playing with the Rays. Like, it's the same thing. You don't want to be a black eye. You don't want to bring negative attention to your team by doing things like this that have nothing to do with the on-field product. You brought that upon yourself. That has nothing to do with anybody. You could have put that anywhere, but you chose to put it right there. That's your decision. Nobody else. That wasn't a mandate. Somebody thought that was a great idea. It was terrible. Awful. All right, before we wrap it up, let's talk about our teams here in Team Tampa Bay and what they were able to do this weekend. We'll start with USF Baseball. They played a doubleheader on Friday. They win. They lost the season finale or the series finale yesterday. But when you look at what USF Baseball has now done, 2 of 3, their record is now 19-10. They're 7-2 in the American. They just keep winning series and keep winning series. They're back at it this week against Stetson at, was it Tuesday? Yep, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Game streamed on ESPN Plus. Go check them out, man. Go check them out because USF is no joke. Jackson Mayo and Marcus Brodell and just everybody contributing. And how about Corey Braun, the first game of the doubleheader on Friday? 8 innings, only 1 run given up. Our guest last week, if you missed the chat, it's up right here on our page. And, they travel to Houston this weekend to take on Rice Friday at 7:30, Saturday at 3, Sunday at 2 before they head home. And then next Tuesday up to Tallahassee to take on the Noles before they're back home against Charlotte 49ers. So shout out to them. USF Lacrosse, they lose on Friday, but then they win on Sunday. Shout out to Coach Mindy McCord, 250 wins in her career. Incredible. We are so blessed to have her here in the Bay Area to do so many great things. The Tampa Bay Sun with a 2-0 victory. Did you see the goal by Jordan Listro? Wow. First ever W in the Florida Derby. They tied with Fort Lauderdale United on November 10th, 1-1. February 8th, 2-2. March 8th, 1-1. And they finally win Saturday night, a 2-0 victory. Go back. I mean, obviously, Ava Tankersley, her goal was great to make it 2-0 in the 80th minute. But go check them out. The goal by number 5, Jordan Listro, friend of the program. We've had her on before. We'll probably have her on again. I'll see if she wants to come on tomorrow. But what a goal for her. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Sun. Keep firing, man. Keep doing your thing. Can't wait to see what they have in store next. And then we finish it off with, did you see these jerseys for the University of Tampa? These things right here were insane. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know that it was coming. We talked about the unboxing, right? The unboxing that we're doing here. I'm calling out Joe Urso and Sam Militello and Jose Jimenez. I want a UT box with some stuff in there so we can unbox it here on the program. But just look at these jerseys. I think they're the best City Connect jerseys that we've seen when it comes to teams here in the Tampa Bay area. You guys tell me what you think right now. Bro, get out of here. I mean, look at this. 9-time champs, right? Unity. You're seeing the architecture that we usually see over there at UT. All the nice words with the graffiti kind of background. That architecture in the middle is the one for the 813. The nice Evo Shield jerseys that they have. Looking sharp. Black, red, yellow. Look at that, man. Legit. I think they're the best City Connect uniforms that I have seen. Dave Terry J, go ahead and have a giggle with my boys from Liverpool. Yes, a 3-2 loss to Fulham. I always pull for Fulham because of Anthony Robinson, their left back, who's a starter for the U.S. men's national team, though probably one of the worst Manchester derbies between Man City and Man United ended in a 0-0 draw. I can't tell you how many times that I've put my day in such a way so I can sit there and watch the entire 90 minutes, and then it's a 0-0 draw. Oh my God, it's so mind-numbing, such a pain in the ass, but that is the way it goes. AEW last night, AEW Dynasty, I thought that was, it was a decent card. I like FTR turning on Adam Copeland. He'll always be edge to me, damn it. But does that mean that Christian now turns babyface and those guys get together, or do they stay heel and they go up against FTR? We'll see. Seeing Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada go at it, those guys, such a historic career there in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Do they bring it over here to the States? Those are those four guys, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Okada, with WrestleMania just 2 weeks away. I just want to see those guys on the grandest stage of them all. I really do. Also, the ending there with Nick and Matt Jackson coming back and helping Jon Moxley defeat Swerve Strickland. Are they the reason why the Death Riders have been doing all this thing? Have they been kind of like what Vince McMahon tried to do years ago with the NWO and try to poison the WWE? Did they try to do that? I don't know. And then Friday night with Friday Night SmackDown, to be able to see that we finally know what the favor is when it comes to CM Punk, and it's going to be that Paul Heyman is going to be in his corner for that triple threat match, the main event, night one of WrestleMania there in Las Vegas. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk, with Paul Heyman, the wise man, the advocate, the voice. He is going to be in the corner of CM Punk. What does that mean? I don't know. We're going to find out some good stuff. So Monday Night Raw tonight, back in normal times at 8 o'clock. So no more overseas. They'll be in Minnesota tonight. No more 3 o'clock Monday Night Raws. No more Monday afternoon Raws for a while as we get closer and closer, but no John Cena on Raw. So that to me is kind of a little bit of a stinker. All right, rest of the week. This week, again, we got Coach Brian Hodgson. If you missed us, joining us on Thursday. I'm trying to get the great Phil Esposito to join us here. He was going to try to get it today, but he was traveling, and I know he's busy tomorrow. So I'm going to talk to him Wednesday at Amalie Arena. We're going to get Phil on this week as well, maybe on Friday ahead of that game. But yeah, Lightning need some wins down the stretch. They're in New York City tonight against the Rangers. The Rangers are holding on for dear life. It's a must-win game for them. The Lightning have to keep pace there in the Atlantic Division. Florida has been scuffling big time. So I'm not too worried about the 3 seed, even though Ottawa creeping up. They're only 2 points behind the Panthers too. So right now, 76 games played, just like the Maple Leafs. They're 4 points behind them. We do know that they clinched a playoff spot over the weekend because the Rangers lost to the New Jersey Devils on Saturday. The Panthers 2 points behind the Lightning, but the Lightning do have that one game in hand. So take care of business tonight against the Rangers. You kind of put that final nail in the coffin of their season, and you give yourself a chance still to get that first seed in the Atlantic Division. I want to give you, before we go here, the lines from today's practice. And this is courtesy of our good friend, Gabby Shirley. Vasilevsky off the ice first. So it looks like he'll be the starter tonight. John Cooper confirms the Bolts will be 11-7 tonight. Same players who played in Buffalo, but Vasilevsky instead of JoJo. Gensel, Point, Kucherov, line 1, followed by Hagel, Sorelli, and Paul. Bjorkstrand, Gord, Gonsalves, and then Genski and Gergensons and Glendenning, and then Bjorkstrand, Gordon. Yeah. Hedman, Moser, McDonough, Chernak, Lilleberg, Pervik, and Radish. Those will be your 7. And then we'll go from there, man. We'll see. The Isaac Hauer watch is still going on. We spoke about it last week with Eddie Encina and Eric Erlinson. So if you want to take a look at those conversations, go check them out now. All right. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere at JRecher. Like and subscribe as well. And really, I want you guys to, if you're pay attention to the show at all, I want you to try to consume it in a different way, not just on YouTube, but I want you to check out Spotify. I got the video and the audio up there on Apple. I want you to check that out as well. Download the podcast, iHeart as well. Go out there and share this with your friends on social media if you like it. We want to spread the word and keep the good vibes going, doing whatever we can to make this thing work, man. The Jay Recher podcast. We're going to continue grinding and then go from there. Again, Thursday, Brian Hodgson is going to join us on the program. We'll have Eddie Encina and Eric Erlinson as well this week. It never stops. We'll be live at Amalie Arena on Wednesday and Friday because, you know, we take the Jay Recher podcast on the road. That's going to wrap it up for me. I love you all. I appreciate the support. Have a great rest of your week. Happy Monday. Wish us luck. We got softball playoffs tonight, slightly below average. Got the semifinal at 7. We got the final at 9. So wish us luck. Hopefully we will take it home. I love you all. See you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I am gone.